You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm glad to have you here. I'm feeling kind of weird. I just got done watching a bunch of Primus music videos, and now I'm not really sure where my brain's at. I came out here to record this and watched Shaking Hands with Beef like 3 times. I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea why that happened, but that seems fitting for this episode. Today, I am talking to Mr. Pat Finnerty, one of my very favorite, he's going to hate that I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it though. Guitar YouTube personalities. Really music YouTube personalities. Guitar's selling the man a bit short. He has blown up in the last, I don't know, year and a half, I want to say. His takes are hilarious and awesome, and as you'll hear on this episode, I find them to be quite accurate. He's a super funny dude, and if this is the first time that you are hearing about him, I definitely suggest going and subscribing and checking out his YouTube channel because I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. I'm a big fan, and I'm stoked that he decided to do this with me. So I don't want to dilly-dally around too much, but I do have a little bit of business to get out of the way. I just want to remind everybody, the holidays are coming up. There's going to be guitar gear and recording gear and music gear of all sorts being exchanged and swapped and bought and purchased. And if you plan on doing any of that, please check out the affiliate links associated with this show. If you could go to tonemob.com/sweetwater or tonemob.com/reverb and do your purchasing through those links. If you're planning on buying things from either of those two sources, it helps out immensely, especially the Sweetwater link. They are very, very kind with what they share with the show, and I really enjoy working with them. Reverb's great too. Sweetwater doesn't have everything, so if you go to tonemob.com/sweetwater or tonemob.com/reverb, the links for that is in the show notes. Just click through there, do anything that you would normally do, and it's going to help me out. And I really appreciate everybody that has done that. All right, let's stop blabbering so we can get to more blabbering. Here we go. This is Mr. Pat Finnerty. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have somebody I've been wanting to talk to for a very long time, Mr. Pat Finnerty. How you doing, dude?
How's it going, Blake? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So I guess we should backpedal a little bit. I remember I was standing in my kitchen alone, as one does, and I was eating a piece of pizza, as one does. Yeah. Yep. And I was just going through Instagram, and somehow the Explore page or something blessed me with your feed, and I was like, hey, what's this guy all about? He looks like my kind of guy. And lo and behold, it was I think the announcement of the Stop the Train video. And and I proceeded to forward that to all of my friends. And I still think it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And I've never heard anybody so passionate about the not liking that song as me, other than you. So that was that was beautiful.
Well, I mean, I feel like on paper we're set for a lifetime together. I mean, you're standing alone in a kitchen, you're eating pizza, and you're probably thinking about your life and where you're at, where you're going, where you're not going. All that stuff. The pizza's kind of getting you through. You're looking at Instagram. It's got nothing for you. And then, you're checking those notifications and, nothing too exciting. You see a guy that's doing a protest against a song. And it hits. What can I tell you?
It hit.
Yeah, I did. That was one of the my girlfriend Kim, she's endured a lot with my pursuits, and she loves it. She does. I mean, she's in most of the videos. She wants to be in the videos more, actually. But like, she's in most of the videos. I come up with these ideas. I had already done this, like, it was probably 40 minutes at this point of this video against Train, Hey Soul Sister, which was kind of like the follow up to this video I did about Beverly Hills, which was my first like YouTube video that people actually watched. I feel like it was like people just kept watching it. I was like, this is weird. No one ever watches anything that I do. So I was always in the aunts and uncles range of YouTube where like, there's 5 comments and they're all positive. Right. And it's your friends, your aunts, your uncles, like, great song, Pat. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, this is great. And then the Weezer video that I put out, it like got some momentum, and then there was a couple people that were trolling it, and I'm like, trolls. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, right. I'm actually making it to the algorithm. People don't like it, so I'm like, this is exciting. And so I was like, what am I going to do to try to top this one? Because I was pretty proud of that video, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that was like the last time that I've really tried to like go crazy. I will again. Well, no, I still do. But like, I was like, okay, this song stinks. Train stinks. And Train has had it far too good for far too long. And how Absolutely. Do I end a video about a song that is as, much of a calamity as Hey Soul Sister? And I was like, throw a protest against it. And I went for it. And Kim was just like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, we got to go to U-Haul. We got to build the stage. We got to, and, did the whole thing. I mean, did it like, had a drone shot, all that stuff. And about 100 people showed up in Fairmount Park in Philadelphia. And we protested against the song Hey Soul Sister. And it was,
I was there in spirit.
One of the things I'm most proud of.
You should be. I agree. They've had it way too good for way too long. They've been not only assaulting our ears on the airwaves for all these years, but now in the grocery store.
Everywhere.
It's
at the gas pump. So they have a new song called AM Gold. And it's like disco. It's like, hey, remember disco? I'm like, yeah, no one's ever forgot disco. Like, disco's fine. Like, there's never going to be a time where people are just like, oh man, if only I can hear a disco song today. Like, I Will Survive is on every single day. But yes. It's a disco-y kind of song. And where Train is infiltrating now is on the gas pumps. So it's like, how like if you go to like a concert or a sporting event, they have like advertising at the urinals now. Like there's screens above, and they know when you're there. So it starts, and it's just like, and I'd say in the last 10 years when you're pumping gas, like the screen knows you're pumping gas. They know you're there. And so an ad starts. And now for me, for the last like 5 or 6 months, whenever I start pumping gas, the Train song comes on. So it's like, karma, man. So it's like, here I am already miserable that I'm pumping gas, and now here comes Pat Monahan.
So that's something I never really considered, because here in Oregon we're spoiled and we don't pump our own gas. So there is no. Yeah, it's just us in Jersey. I think that's it. Yeah, I think everywhere else you got to pump your own gas.
That is, because I was on tour in the spring, and I do remember, and I think I capitalized on that, and I went to that could have been my Arby's day. That was a dark day. Those like gas stations, it's like the gas station and then it's not a full rest stop, but it's like one like kind of gas station and then one restaurant. And the one restaurant was Arby's, and I hadn't eaten, and I was like, I can't eat another Cliff Bar. And I think I got like a chicken sandwich from Arby's or something like that. The curly fries are good though.
They have the meats, is what I'm told.
They do.
Oh wait, there's that advertising again, getting us when we least expect it. Oh, jeez, it's terrible. So obviously you've been a touring musician. You've been playing forever, right?
Yeah, lifer.
Was YouTube, like when you started this, obviously you have put effort into it. You said you've been in the aunts and uncles range for a while. Mm-hmm. Did you expect to try to make YouTube a part of your career, or was this just something that you thought was funny?
I thought it was funny. I mean, I just started doing it because I couldn't play gigs. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, it was just like shut down, lockdown. You know, Bono singing about the people in Italy. You know, have you heard that song, by the way? The Bono
I
song
try
that he
to, if
put
I
out.
see Bono, I like scroll really fast.
Oh man, the
So
COVID Bono song.
no.
Terrible. It was like he did it on piano. It was like really close up. You should look it up. But anyway, so it's like everyone's doing that stuff, and there was nothing else to do really. So, you know, watching as many YouTube music channels that I do, you know, endlessly. Sometimes I watch. I have people that I like because I just like them, and then there's the people that I watch because I'm just like, this is so ridiculous. And you know, Beato. I'm sure a lot of your listeners know about Rick Beato, of course. So it's just like I remember. I have a vivid memory of the first time that I saw him. I was like, you know, I think I ordered Mexican food or something like that. And I'm sitting down in my living room and I'm about to pop a burrito. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to watch? And I just went on to YouTube. And then there's this guy, what makes this song great? Everlong, Foo Fighters. So I'm like, all right, okay, here we go. So I hit that.
Mhm.
And then it's just him talking about the bass part on Everlong. And I'm just like, the bass part on Everlong? Like, oh, yeah, he's really thumping those eighth notes. And I was just like, so I was just like, this is hilarious. And I was just like sending it to all my friends. But also it's like, for how much I rag on Beato, like, yeah, I also like and do enjoy like a lot of his breakdowns in a way. You know what I mean? I just think that they're his lessons and all of that stuff. Like, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. So for me, you know, I saw that and then I was just like, you know what? There's way more rotten songs than good songs. And so like, what if I just did a, you know, parody of sorts of that? And that's when I started the videos because I had nothing else to do. And I didn't think anyone was going to watch them. And they didn't. The first two, nobody really watched. I did one on Kryptonite and I did one on All Summer Long. And those were aunts and uncles, like 10, 1100. It wasn't until the Weezer video. Because those Weezer people, when you tap into the Weezer people, that's like, and it wasn't like a calculated move at all. It's just I was such a big Weezer fan in high school. I've carried this Weezer, you know, guilt, resentment, all of it throughout my entire life. I've had the Weezer conversation with so many friends through the years. I don't want to talk about them anymore, and I feel like I had so much to say about it. So I used it as a way to talk about my life, and then so that was like. But that was, I almost didn't even do that video because I was like, no one's ever going to watch these things. But then, you know, they started to. Then I'm like, okay, well, and I've actually had more fun doing these than I ever thought I would. And I've always loved comedy. So it's like, it's a way to finally put together music and comedy for me.
Yeah. Well, you do a really good job with that. Like, I think that's the immediate hook, right? Like, okay, you know, sure, anybody could, you know, make a video making fun of a song. Like if I did it, it wouldn't be very good. Like nobody would want to watch it because I'm not funny like you are. You know, I can riff with people. I can kind of throw things back and forth and crack a joke here and there. But like to make something that is genuinely funny that I think that, you know, more than 3 people are going to send to anybody, it's never going to happen. That's not really my skill set. My skill set is just blabbing into a microphone with people. But
well, I mean, you know, let's not shame ourselves here. I mean, I'm sure you're a funny guy, but the thing is, and to use a term for the last 4.5 years, I'd say you've got your own lane, right? You've got your own lane. We love lanes now. Stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Like
we like it. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you've got your own lane.
Yeah, it was just funny because I feel like there was for some reason like this immediate connection with the stuff that you're making because, you know, I watched it, I sent it to everybody. I watched it probably 3 times, the train video specifically, just because I'm just like, this is so good. He's saying all the things I wish I could say. And then I feel like that maybe it was that night, maybe it was a few nights later, you were randomly live streaming. And I was like, oh, I'll join this live stream. Like, oh, he actually picked up. Like, hey, what's going on, Pat? And I was like half awake. I don't even remember what we talked about. I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah, neither do I. But yeah, that's
maybe it didn't happen. Maybe it was a dream.
Well, I love talking to, and that's another thing from like, so, you know, COVID-19, obviously, you know, I'm as upset with, you know, with it as any, you know, person with a heart would be, as far as for all the people that have lost people and stuff like that. And it was a tragedy for a lot of people. In another way, the lockdown, if you separate it from, from that, it just totally kind of focused me and kind of gave me a new sense of what I wanted to do, in a way where it was just like, it brought us all together. If nobody can do anything, then, for the first time, we're all kind of in it together, where we're not just like, the people in the Dave Matthews Band Ants Marching video, where we see them walking around, and I'll throw out the Ants Marching video, sure. But, we're not just these people that are all going in these different directions. We're all not doing anything. And I kind of just saw that as an opportunity to, connect with people. So, and it was hilarious because you couldn't see anybody, but I just went on Instagram and I started doing this Instagram show every day with like 11 people watching it, where I was just recording songs. I was taking requests and I was like, all right, I've got a drum machine. What song do you want to do? I did like, and then people would be like, Closer, Nine Inch Nails. I'm like, all right, Jungle, Jungle Love. I'm like, all right, Sledgehammer. And then I tried it, and then I had people coming, like my neighbors that playing music. I would have them come down to the sidewalk, and I would mic them from my window because we had to stay far apart, and they would sing from the sidewalk. And I started doing that kind of stuff. And then I was talking to strangers, like I talked to you, and I would just interview people about like, what's in their refrigerator and stuff like that. And then, so it all kind of kept building and building and building. So that was kind of like what happened for me during the pandemic, and I feel like it's kind of led me to like, what, I don't really want to play that gig that I used to play all the time. I would rather do this. But if the pandemic didn't happen, I would just go around just doing the same stuff that I was always doing. And it kind of gave me a whole new perspective on things.
So I have to assume, and I've seen a little bit of this here and there in your videos, but doing the YouTube videos and doing all the content now, it seems like that's bleeding over into your gigs. Was that something you expected to happen, or is that a little bit of a surprise?
Well, I mean, it's amazing. So, I mean, like, I still obviously love playing music, and it's like, I think the problem for me is that I've always wanted to kind of like I've always wanted to do comedy, but music has always come first for me. And I feel like there is a blend of it now where I can go out, like I play guitar in a band called Strand of Oaks now. So it's this dude, Tim Showalter, and he's had a million iterations of his band or whatever. It's just, I've been buddies with him for a long time. And, so I've been playing with him for the last couple years. And that's a great thing that I could just go play guitar in, so I can like play his songs, sing some harmonies, play some solos, do that kind of stuff. And when we did the spring tour, I was actually, thanks to YouTube, I actually, was able to open the shows and bring people to the shows, for the first time, and meet people that like watch my videos and stuff like that. And, they were singing along to some of my joke songs that I write for the videos and stuff like that. And that was really cool. So it's like, and what's also awesome about what I'm doing is that the people that like my stuff, we have the same taste. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, I'm kind of filtering out now, like Three Doors Down fans, I hate me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
but
I'm sure.
Like,
yeah.
It's awesome though, because like they'll go on these long things and leave these comments under there that don't really affect me, because I'm like, well, you like Three Doors Down. So it's just like, we're not breaking bread together. And it's fun, and go ahead, listen to them. But like, anybody that likes my videos, so I can pivot from like playing, making, doing a spoof on like a Godsmack song, and then go into one of my songs. And chances are that whoever is going to be there is of the same sensibilities, so it's kind of like a great filtering system as far as like, taste goes. So it's been working. So it's like people don't always expect jokes from me. They also know that, I love music seriously, obviously. And, so it really worked out. I think we're walking hand in hand with each other.
It's kind of a unique filter and funnel, right? Because there's a lot of people there that found you through your video who would probably not have found you otherwise. And then it also filters. So it brings them there and also kicks the people out that I'm not, this guy doesn't like the same music as me. I love Three Doors Down and he doesn't. So why am I going to go watch him play? But it also is a funnel, which is great, because you're casting a wider net and bringing more people into what you actually do. Not that you don't actually do both things, but what you're really passionate about, is making music and recording your own stuff. So it's kind of a wild world that we live in. It's
sure is, Blake.
Bananas what we can do now.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like reverse Nirvana in a way. It's like,
okay,
like the stories of like, Cobain, he was just like, they got so popular, like he hated his fan base. You know what I mean? He had all these jocks coming to his shows and he just like was just like, oh man, when he knows that he's coming from this punk scene and all of that stuff like that, but then becomes mainstream and becomes what, I've kind of been able to do the opposite of that. And I'm not comparing myself to Kurt Cobain at all, but like I can, instead of like becoming like this mainstream thing, I have a small but loyal following of people that all are in the same, like anybody that's coming to my show and telling me that they love my videos, like I already pretty much dig them. I'm right. Like, I'm always gonna like, for the most part, because it's like, you don't like Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz and you're a good person. That song is 4.5 minutes of the most brain bashing, boring, monotonous drudgery that this world could conjure, so it's just like we have that in common. So then like, what's your favorite cheese? Are you an American? You Cooper? You Swiss? You like the French stuff? What are you into? So we could take it from there, you know what I mean?
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Maris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4,800 hertz sample rate and 99 preset locations in 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at maris.us, as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services. And it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. It seems like there's and maybe this is not entirely true, but it seems like there's a general era, or I don't know, from like 1997 to 2003, that you seem to kind of focus in on that era of trash. There's more trash than that, obviously, but it seems like that particular era seems to grind your gears a little more than maybe some other things. Is that true, or am I reading into it more than there is?
No, it's true. And it's probably because that's when I was paying attention the most to pop music or something like that. It's just like there's tons of stuff out there now that stinks, but it's just like that stuff to me hasn't gone away either. So it's like, I just feel like, in the I did a video on All Summer Long, Kid Rock. And it
that's
it
right.
was like the story that I tell in that video is true. Like, I was in a supermarket about a year and a half ago, and I was debating whether I was going to go with Progresso or Campbell's. I mean, it's a big decision.
It is.
And I'm trying to figure out who I am. Am I red can or blue can? And it was just like, here comes All Summer Long. Now it's still being played, all the time. And that's when I heard the guitar solo for the first time and really figured it out that, like, wait a second, this is in the wrong pentatonic box. Like, yeah, a lot of the notes work or whatever, but this dude just like landed in the pentatonic of D minor over the D major. And it usually works, but the notes that he landed on were just so obviously like, dude, you're just ripping a solo in D minor over these chords, and it just doesn't work. He could have just shifted it, but he's in the wrong box. And then I was just thinking about how many people that got through. Like, Kid Rock liked it, first of all. He was like, yeah, man, badass. And then, the producer or whatever, like, they were all like, yes, this is the solo. And it's a long solo.
Yes.
So it's just like, it's moments like that where I've always hated that song. It's always been terrible. But then when I realized that this solo is so, blatantly in the wrong pentatonic, that was like one of the moments that brought me back to that song. So I feel like I have all this unfinished business with those songs. It's like, it's been a life of Kryptonite. It's been a life of, what are the other ones that I did? Like Hazel Sister. It's been a life of these songs. And I have all of this stuff just stored up, and I need to get it out. So once I get those out, maybe I'll just usher in a new thing, and I could do like, 21 Pilots song or something. I don't know. I don't even know what 21 Pilots sounds like, but I can imagine.
Yeah, maybe they're awesome. I have no idea.
They could be.
Yeah, no idea.
Who knows? But, like Imagine Dragons would be like the first one of like the new class that I would really, kind of hone in on. But, I feel like there's so much stuff that still needs to be cleaned up.
There's one that I keep thinking is just going to happen at some point. Like there's one that's always, it's really just hurt my soul ever since I realized that it existed. And I wish I could remember the title, but you'll probably know it just by the band name. But Pretty Much Anything by Sister Hazel really just attacks my core.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about Hazel that you got to remember, hold on one second, is that when you're talking about SH, is that this?
Oh, here we go. All right,
this will be out of tune. But I mean, so it's post Runaround, right? So it's just like, so I mean,
that's the song. That's the one. Yeah,
that guy, which is Come to My Window, which is kind of like, I would say Come to My Window was like the kind of put it on the map. What are we doing here? The 1-4-2-5, the piano. So it's like this 1-4-2-5 was like a really big one in the 90s, right? So
yes,
like Come to
definitely.
My Window, I would rank number one. Come to My Window bridge kind of rules. I don't care what they think. I don't care. I mean, I'm all right with that bridge.
I'm having like PTSD right now. This is rough. This is rough.
I mean, listen, I didn't say this was going to be easy. I'm just saying, out of the 1-4-2-5s, I'm probably ranking Come to My Window, maybe Run Around. I'm not sure. So it's like, come to my window. And then, hey, why you want to give me the run around? And it's sure my way.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, neither of those is the one I'm thinking of. What is the one I'm thinking of?
Oh, no, I'm getting there. So, like,
you're getting there. Okay.
So
okay.
Sister Hazel heard those two songs, and they're just like, oh, yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah.
Hard to say what
yeah. That's the one. Yep. And you're right. It's all rooted there. I wish I had.
It's a fourth-rate runaround. And it just reminds me of like how much I would rather hear so look around your world, pretty baby,
it's true.
Everything you want to be. I'll take a Right Time to Roll to Me over Sister Hazel.
Absolutely.
So here's how I'm ranking them. I would go I'll go Run Around, give it to Popper.
Okay.
Come to My
Yeah.
Window 2, Roll to Me 3, and then Sister Hazel 4. Strat dropped, but it's all right because it's a Strat.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember it's like, this is taking me back to, I don't know how old I was, probably like 14 or something. And like a bunch of kids from school and a bunch of like, you know, friends of friends, or for some reason, everyone was going to the Sister Hazel concert. And this is when
time out.
What?
For some reason, everybody was going to the Sister Hazel concert.
Yeah, for
I've
some
never
reason.
heard that sentence before. That's an incredible sentence. But there was a band called oh man, what were they called? Oh, they were called the Screaming Cheetah Wheelies.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
I'll never forget it. The Screaming Cheetah Wheelies. So the Spin Doctors played in Scranton, where I'm from, in like 1994 or 1995, and everybody went to that show. Like that was my Sister Hazel show. And so there's this band. I didn't go, but there was this band called the Screaming Cheetah Wheelies, where like all of my friends were like, they're like amazing, man. They're like the best band ever, because they were the opening band. We were all like 14, you know what I mean? So it's just like they were a band. So like, you know, and they probably, you know, I don't know what they sounded like, but like there was like a mosh pit because like the Even Flow video and everything like that for the Screaming Cheetah Wheelies, because they came to Scranton, you know what I mean? And they, so your show was the Sister Hazel show. So everybody was going to the Sister Hazel show.
Yeah, everyone was going to the Sister Hazel show, and this is actually kind of weird because I can't think of a single person that I knew at the time other than the guys in my band and my now wife, who did not go to that show. Everyone else, like in my kind of circle of people, went to that show, and then people like, you really love music, you're going to come to the Sister Hazel show, right? And I was like, no,
right,
no.
And where is this? Oregon? Are you born and raised?
I am born and raised. So yeah, I'm just south of Portland a little bit. I say Portland because nobody knows where Oregon City is, but
right. But Oregon City was where Sister Hazel was playing, right?
Well, no, they were playing in Portland, but everyone in
Okay.
Oregon City was traveling, you know, the 40 minutes up
traveling
north
for the big Sister Hazel show.
That's right.
Sister Hazel might be the most local sounding band that's ever made it. That's ever, you know what I mean? Like that is just the most local sound you can ever. I mean, Blues Traveler's pretty local sounding, but I mean, like you got Papa ripping that harmonica, so it's
that's
just
the
like
thing.
that kind of
sets it apart.
But like Sister Hazel is like the ultimate like coffee shop, you know, like you know, here's the band. It's a lot of CI9, and it's coming at you, and hard. You know, yeah, the local boys made it good as far as Sister Hazel go. I'm sure they're still on the road.
I just looked this up the other day because I was curious, and it does seem that they're still, you know, they're still at it. They're still doing it, and so, you know, I can not like it all I want, right? At the end of the day, a lot of more people know who they are than know who I am. So I guess who's really laughing now, you know?
Like, well, that's all the critics that don't like my videos. Who are you, man? Who the fuck are you? They got a hit, man. They got a hit. You know, I'm like, where's your hit, man? Yeah. Where's your hit? And I'm just like, good point. But you're also commenting under a video that I made. So, you know.
And yet here you are, right? Like that's where it is at the end of the day.
You ever listen to Eddie Trunk?
I don't think so. The name sounds familiar, though.
He's the best. He used to do a show called The Metal Show, that metal show on VH1. And he has this show on Sirius XM where he like flies the flag for like Rat. Like, you know, rock music.
Okay.
Rock music. And he name drops constantly. And he's like, oh, you know, Stephen Piercy just texted me. Hold on one second. It's awesome.
Yes. It's coming back to me now.
He basically talks about three things. He always talks about Kiss. He talks about the fact that he hates when bands use tracks. He's like, I went to see a band, they were using tracks. I needed to be 100% all real. And then, but then he's also just like, Five Finger Death Punch has a new album out and it's killer. You know, and it's like, I'm like, okay, Eddie. And then he talks a ton about how no bands, which he's actually, I agree with him on this one, but he talks about how like farewell tours never ends and like no band ever really stops, which is true. And especially if you had a hit. I mean, they just keep, Smash Mouth is still going without the singer.
I know, that's wild.
I mean? Like He's out. Like, what, are these fans going to hear the drum parts? You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I love Glenn Glenn Thompson's bass part on Walking on the Sun, man. You know, that's why I'm a Smash Mouth fan. But yeah, no bands ever stop.
No, that is true. They don't. Even if it feels like they're going to, you know, they tend not to.
Well, I mean, think about it, Blake. Like you know, are you still in a band, or are you just doing podcast?
I do like solo stuff now, and that's pretty much it. You know.
Okay, so but like at the same time, like look at all of those guitars that are behind you. Look at that microphone that you're talking into. I mean, you haven't stopped, you know, and you don't have a hit. So imagine if you had a hit. Like
that's true.
We're both, you know, we're both going to keep buying gear. I mean, like look at the amount of strings that are behind me right now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'll just keep buying gear. I'll just keep playing shows. You know, you can't stop.
That's true. I think once it's in you, it's in you. I mean, whether you have a hit or not. Like,
yeah, and
it feels like people with music, they tend to go away from it for a while, maybe, but they always find their way back at some point.
What else?
In some capacity.
You know,
maybe.
What else are you gonna do?
That's a good point. What else are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any foreshadowing for us? What's up on the chopping block? Like who's going to get it next, do you think? Or do you want to play that close to the vest?
Well, I don't know. When are you going to put this out?
I'll put it out whenever you want me to put it out.
Okay. Well, I mean, I could just tell you what I'm working on right now. I'm still putting together the end piece of the Simple Plan, which is, so for anybody who's not familiar with the videos that I make, I did a video on MGK, Emo Girl, and then that, to prove a point, I was like, well, if this is going to do a Blink-182 song, I will, you know?
Right.
So it's just like, I'm as punk as he is, you know? Like, so it's, I'm probably more punk than he is, and I'm not a punker, even though I love punk music, but I mean, you know, look at me. So I've always had a fake band called August is Falling in mind, where it was just like a pop punk band. And I ended up releasing a song in that video. And then for the end of that video, and then I ended up with a full EP, and a lot of these, you know, there was a lot of, you know, kismet involved, and things happened. And somehow I released
pretty magical.
Yeah, it's pretty magical. And then Butch Walker ended up mixing one of the songs, and it made it sound huge, and it was unbelievable. And then it was on Bandcamp, and it was the top selling pop punk album on Bandcamp for a little while, and it was added to like Apple's music playlists. And we're kind of like trolling the world on this in a way. And all of the people that watch my videos have commented under the fake video, and I made a YouTube account, and now that YouTube account for August is Falling has like 44,000 subscribers, and the lyric video has over 14,000 comments. So it's like, this band saved my life, and it's confusing people, and it's awesome. And there's a chance that it might get some radio play. So it's become bigger than what I ever thought it could be. And now I'm just like, okay, what do I do now? And it's almost like a Larry David situation when Seinfeld got picked up, and he's like, I got to write 13 more of these. Like, I'm like, what do I do now? So I'm putting together the end of that, the Simple Plan, as I call it. And I'm actually working on right now, and this is heartbreaking, but I never thought I was going to do it. I'm doing a video about Nickelback. Yeah.
You are
just a little stinkers, though. I'm not going to do a full what makes this song stink.
Okay.
But
you never thought you'd do it, really?
No, because I mean, it's the lowest hanging fruit there is. I mean, I don't need to talk about, you know, I don't need to talk about Nickelback. You know, the Nickelback sucks jokes aren't even funny. You know, it's been so long of like Nickelback sucks that I'm just like, yeah, of course. But they did something. They did something that I can't. That I couldn't stay away from. So
you couldn't let it go.
I couldn't let it go. Something happened, and I couldn't let it go. So
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'm making a little stinkers about, because if you watch my channel and you know some of the things that I've done and some of the songs that I've written, and then you listen to their latest song, It's pretty amazing. So yeah, something happened, and I have I have to see it through. So there'll be a little stinkers about a Nickelback song in the not too distant future.
Very good. Very good.
Mhm.
I'm glad you brought up the August is Falling thing because I in a small way I helped out a little bit with that. I went ahead and threw it on my Apple Music, and I listened to the whole thing, in earnest,
Appreciate that.
just because I got to give it a shake, right? I got to see what's going on.
Mhm.
And then I did the thing that I like to do for people that I enjoy, and I just picked a random device. I got, we all got different Apple connected things laying around here and there, and I just let it play.
Oh, thank you. You let it go around?
I just let it go and go and go like for like 3 days. So,
Appreciate that.
there you go.
That means a lot,
Mhm.
and I feel like I missed an opportunity, and I'm glad you did that because I could have asked people to all do that.
Mhm.
But I'm glad you had the gumption to run the numbers up like that. We needed to cook the books. I appreciate you cooking all the books for me.
I mean, you might have got like out of those 3 days, you might have got like a whole $1.50 out of that,
I'll
Like-
take it. Well, TuneCore has it. I don't know if I'll ever get it. I don't really understand what TuneCore is or does, but hopefully at some point it'll come back. But the thing is it's a fake like people. What's amazing about it, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are dudes in bands that are have not made it, right? People in bands, not just dudes, but like, I feel like, as a person that has seen the band camp, you release a song, it goes up, and the next day it goes back down, then it just flatlines. As being that person for a very long time, and I've been in bands that I'm really proud of, and it's just music is tough business, right? And I've been in serious bands and written songs, earned out of all that stuff. It's just amazing for me that the first music that I've ever had, like really of Spotify, that is like a greater than 1,000 plays is August is Falling. So it's not even bittersweet. It's sweet. It's all sweet because I like writing songs, genre-ish kind of songs and stuff like that. And even those songs, like I was just like, okay, I mean, if I'm going to write these songs, I at least want to try to make them good, So it's just like, I think that they're enjoyable listens.
They are enjoyable listens. And especially that's my era, right? Like that's
sure.
That's that early 2000s Warped Tour thing is like, that's when I fell in love with it, really.
Right. Well,
and so I'm like listening to this, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when this band I like used to do something like that. Yep, there's that thing that I like, there's that weird chord.
They're all right there. You could do it,
They are.
and that's kind of like the whole point of the EP. It's just like, man, if I just didn't listen to the Kinks as much as I did, and like Autumn Almanac, and just want to write all these songs with all these crazy chord progressions. I mean, I'm a pop guy. I mean, I love pop. I love simple music. It's just, the Simple Plan is another form of simple music that is just like, I mean, they dominated the world with Perfect. So, I mean, I feel like, man, I could have done that. But what are you going to do?
Hey, it's it's very of its time, but it's kind of coming back. Who knows what's next?
August is Falling. Who knows?
We've been talking a lot, and you spend a lot of time talking about things that you don't like. But what do you like? Like, what is some of your number one favorite things that actually inspire you in a real way when you talk about your serious side?
Oh, like music?
Yeah.
Well, Beatles first, of course. I'm probably haven't spent a day not talking about who played what on what. I mean, the day you found out Paul played the solo on Taxman, I mean, it's just like being a complete Beatles, dork and knowing all of that stuff. And if the stuff that I love is not going to be surprising. I mean, it's the Beatles, the Kinks, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler is my favorite guitar player. Mike Campbell is my second favorite guitar player. I mean, Tom Petty is probably in my top 3. And then, I'm a 90s indie rock kind of guy. It's just who I am from my age. So it's like Guided by Voices and Pavement and that bands like that I love. Had the Weezer thing, love Nirvana, that kind of stuff. And then, more recently, if there's, I love the Viagra Boys. I love the Chats.
The Chats are great. I just found them. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a band called Floating Action that I'm friends with. And he's one of this guy, Seth Kaufman. He's one of my favorite songwriters ever. My buddies, Dr. Dog, they're one of my favorite bands. Not just because they're my friends. We got a lot of friends with a lot of bands, not necessarily, flying the flag. I mean, there's bands I haven't even listened to yet. We're all terrible. But like, Dr. Dog's one of my favorite bands. So, it's, I love music, obviously. And the point that I make in all of my videos is that there's all this music that you'll never hear. That is, it's just the whole phenomenon of what gets played in the stores, as opposed to like you have a better chance of hearing Kryptonite in a store than you do Hey Jude. Like, you're not even getting that much Hey Jude. You know what I mean? You're kind of getting Shinedown more than you're getting, You Really Got Me. And if you get You Really Got Me, it's probably the Van Halen You Really Got Me. And I've nothing against VH, but I'm good on the VH Van Halen, or You Really Got Me. Like if I want to hear You Really Got Me, I would love to hear Dave Davies playing that riff. That's just who I am. If I'm getting VH, I mean, give me Panama.
Absolutely, yeah. It is actually a really interesting point. It's weird. I think a lot of the general population isn't aware of this, but like the songs that play in grocery stores and restaurants that are doing it on the up and up, they're not just like putting on Apple Music and streaming something, that's not how that works. There's actually like corporations and levels of management and everything that has to go through. There's like a set program of stuff that they're allowed to play in the grocery store.
Yes.
And it's weird. It's weird to think about, right? Because you can turn on whatever you want in your house. But if it plays in the grocery store, it's got to go through. Yeah, I mean, I even hear it in Kroger sometimes. They're like, well, welcome to the Kroger Radio Network. And I'm like, what is the Kroger Radio Network? Like, what are we talking about right now? This is so weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Well, I was on, so the What Makes the Song Stink videos, I started doing a podcast. So we're actually, we're rivals right now. Tone.
Oh, yeah. I got to hang this up.
Yeah.
I knew I've listened to it. I've listened to it.
I'm in the podcast game now. You know what I mean? I'm in the podcast game now.
I'm obviously coming to Scranton.
Obviously, the world needed another podcast, so I stepped up. But I was interviewing Kyle Kinane, a comedian.
We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Goodhertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're playing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblissaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
And for the podcast, I have a stink tank where I have like a list of songs, and then the guests can pick from that list, or they can come up with their own if they want. And he chose The Things We Do for Love by 10cc. The Things We Do for Love.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, you know, I don't think that song necessarily stinks. It's kind of like a third-rate ELO or something like that. Like, but you know, I was just like, wow, it's interesting that he would pick that song. And the reason why is because he used to, when he was a teenager, he identified it like, he was like a, you know, punk rocker dude, worked at a Walmart. And that song came on every day. It was on the playlist. So here he is this like, you know, just this kid that's a miserable existence, putting things on pallets all day long. And every day he hears The Things We Do for Love. So it was just like, it's those kind of things where it's just, what's fascinating is that, like, you know, I just had to write a bio for myself, which is the worst, because like, you know, doing this podcast now, I'm like, you know, kind of playing the game a little bit where like I got to try to like, you know, there has to be a bio on me, right? So it's just like, you know, about bios, like, you know, band bios. It's weird. I've always hated bios. And you're writing this thing about yourself, and the question is like, why did you decide to do What Makes This Song Stink? And I'm just like, it's just because I have to hear Hey Soul Sister. I've never put it on. I could sing every word to it, but a trained fan doesn't even know that a band like Guided by Voices exists. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the whole thing. It's just like, these songs I've never put on, but I know all of them. And I'm jealous at the end of the day of people that like Imagine Dragons and that like Train, because these songs are on all the time. So it's like, life is just like, hell yeah, no matter where I am, there's my favorite band. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, imagine hearing like a Velvet Underground song in a CVS. Like, it's not going to happen, you know? So it's just like, that's the kind of thing. Or even like, you know, hearing like a different Led Zeppelin song than Whole Lotta Love, like something off of Physical Graffiti. Like, wow, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, that's the point that I try to make, is that this music is just, we're just beaten down by it, and we don't have a choice, you know? So like, because we don't have a choice, I feel like I need to use my voice to try to say like, listen, I've had to endure these songs my entire life. And you know, you have a hot tub, you're comfortable because of these songs. So you can at least, you know, I could punch up a little bit on you.
Right. You know what you're saying there, like, I've talked about this a lot, especially in the earlier days of the podcast, because my old job, it was for some reason just agreed upon that the only thing that was played in the office was the country station. And I put country in air quotes, you know, at the time. This was like, you know, this was 2015 or so. So, you know, it's all the bro country dominating. And I like country. I like old school country. I grew up listening to country. And so therefore my like disdain for that stuff burns very, very brightly. And I just had to listen to it all day, every day. And I realized that it was kind of my problem, because one day I stood up and I was like, you guys realize I've been taking notes, but this song has played 6 times since I've been here. And I haven't been here for my full 8 hours yet. Right. But this song has played at least 6 times that I've noticed. And everyone's like, oh, really? I wasn't even aware. And I was like, so this thing that just like grates into my soul and pierces my ears, like in the worst way possible, they didn't even realize it was happening, you know? So it's like, oh, this is really a me problem at the end of the day.
It really is. And that's kind of like, if there's one thing that I'll never understand is like, I'll even talk to people that are working in stores, like excuse me, the person that stands. I talk about this a lot, but I think the worst job in the world is the person that stands and watches over the self-checkout section. They're not even doing the transaction. They're just standing there, and they're hearing 4 different screens go at the same time, and then there's a song on top of it. So you've got like, are you a Giant bonus card member? Are you a Giant? Please enter your like, don't forget your receipt. All happening at the same time. And then on top of that, you've got like, and did you know that when it snows? You know what I mean? So you've got Seal coming in from the top. You've got all of these different, screens yelling at you and beeping and all of this hell that's going on, and you're just taking it. And I'll go over to them sometimes and just be like, how do you do it? And I want to give him a tip, because if I have to give some guy $1 because I want a water at a bar and he just like goes like this, and then I give him $1 for it, nothing against bartending. But what I'm saying is if I'm giving him $1 or her $1, I am definitely going to tip 5 on the person that's just taking this abuse. And then they always say to me at the end of the day, they always say, "Oh, I just zone it out. No, I just don't pay attention to it." And I'm like, if there's, I don't know, I don't understand that.
I don't know how to do that.
If there's a song on, I have to listen to it. Like I can't. I know it's on. I'm like, okay, every time you go away, I'm like, I hear it, and it's just like, no matter where I am, I'm listening. I can't zone it out, and that's like, I think what you were just saying. It's like, these people could just zone it out. They didn't know that they heard "Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy" 6 times, but
they didn't.
But you,
I knew. Oh, I knew.
Right.
No, I'm not. This is going to sound ridiculous to so many people. That was a huge motivation for me to quit. Like, it was a very good job, and I liked the people I was working with.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to do this. This is what I really wanted to do.
Right.
So obviously, the desire to no, I really want to do that, not this. But no joke, the day I walked out of there, knowing that I was never going to have to like sit down and listen to Bro Country all day again, was like this huge deal to me, which sounds so silly to so many people. But I was like, the fact that I don't have to do that ever again is like incredible to me. I don't even know what plays on modern country radio anymore. And I love it. I love that I don't know that.
I would absolutely quit for the same reason. I mean, I couldn't do it. I worked at a job once where we were just sitting at tables and we would put insurance letters into. I basically just worked at a place where I folded paper, put it in an envelope. Okay. That was it, like all day long. And we listened to like kind of like the 80s channel every day, which is like there's worse things to listen to. But it was like a lot of like, Billy Ocean, or, just that kind of stuff. Hopefully you get a little bit of Robert Palmer, but like a lot of Huey Lewis, a lot of that kind of stuff, Bananarama. And I used to just get through the day. I would be like, who wants to lay down dollar bets on whether or not the next song is going to have a sax? So that was the only way that I could kind of get through it. And like sax would pay 3-1. No sax would just pay 2-1. You know what I mean? So if you gambled on sax over a guitar, like, is it a sax solo or a guitar solo? You know? And then like you would hear it, and then like, like Turn the Page comes in, and you're just like, you know what I mean? Because you go, score. So it's just like, that's how I got through that. But that just to make the point that I had, like, nobody else was paying attention to what every song was, but I was just like, oh man, I'm like, we already did the Hold On Loosely, and now they're giving us the Caught Up in You. Like, we're getting both the 38 special songs.
Like, come on,
today. Like, just give us a break for like play one today and give us the other one tomorrow. I'm like, because they both go like this.
Absolutely.
I never knew that. And then the other one is. Your name, they're the same song. So it's like, just give us a break. Play, switch them back and forth on a daily basis.
Yeah, it is. I mean, though, again, I know we've already said it multiple times, but it is an us thing because nobody listens to more music than my wife. My wife has got music constantly playing, constantly, no matter what she's doing.
Yeah.
All stuff she likes, because that's the era we live in. You can listen to only things you like in your own home. It's wonderful. And so she's just constantly spinning music. She asked me, she's like, how come you don't listen to as much music? You're like the music guy. You play music. You work in the music business. Like, why don't you listen to that as much music as me? I was like, because I can't not listen to it. I have to listen to it. And I'm like, what's going on there? I wonder what kind of reverb that was. Oh, that's it. I'm always like listening and trying to dissect it. It's an active experience.
Yeah.
So when I'm mowing the lawn or doing whatever that I was going to zone out on, I can't be generally listening to music that way because I can't just listen to it. I have to dissect it. Where I'll put it on a podcast and some dude's blabbering and it's fine. And she's the opposite. She's like, if I'm listening to a podcast, I have to really pay attention to what they're saying so I follow it. And I'm like, it's just a different wiring in people's brains. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't even listen to as much music as I used to. Like, I really don't, if I'm being honest. I'm doing this thing where it's just like, because of the same way that you're talking about it, where it's just like, I listen to music in the car. And that's like the number one, which is kind of cool because I have like an hour commute now, like if all to the studio where I do stuff. So it's just like, that's where I'll be like, okay, I'm going to listen to this record. But like when I clean and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, what record do I need to put on? But if I'm like just around the house or stuff like that, like I'll put on a podcast or a YouTube video or something like that. And that I'm in the same kind of way because it is that thing of just like, if I'm listening to something that I haven't heard in a long time and I know it, that's a whole different thing where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to put that on. Like, I don't exercise, but if I did, like, I'd probably put on like the Stooges or something like that, or I'd put on like, something that just like kind of pumps me up, whatever. Yeah. And, so that's like, that's a whole world. But if I'm going to listen to something that I'm like, ooh, someone told me to check this band out, like that's like a thing. Like I need to just like have an actual, because I can't, I'm like, all right, what's the drum sound? All right, drum sounds good. Like bass, I like the bass. I like the, it's just like that whole world of just kind of exactly how you said it, where I'm just like I'm listening to everything so much intently that it's I need to have a sit down kind of moment to do it.
Yep. Well, man, we're getting close to the end of the episode, and I've got a couple classic questions I like to wrap this show up with.
Sure.
But before I do that, I like to give the guests a chance to take the floor, say whatever they want to say. You got a few thousand people listening. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them. You can shout out your grandma. You can do whatever you want to do. The floor is yours.
I'll talk about the lotto. I don't play the lotto, but I think about it sometimes, like lottery tickets.
Okay.
And the people that go for it every day and how much money they're spending on it. And, I used to work at a convenience store and they would just buy $100 worth of scratch offs and then come back in with $50 worth of scratch offs and then come back in with $10 worth of scratch offs. And it was just like every single day, and, and I'm not coming down on those people. I just feel like, I kind of can see myself in the future becoming a scratch off guy. Like, I don't know, maybe 60s. So that's one thing for your listeners. Like I might become a scratch off guy in my 60s.
Okay. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Yeah.
2, I'm looking at, I'm 42 right now. In the 50s, I'm looking at getting into industrial music. I saw Rammstein not too long ago. I've always kind of liked Nine Inch Nails, but I never committed. The Rammstein show is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So in my 50s, I think what I'm going to do is get into like Ministry. Like I'm going to go industrial in my 50s. I'll get into the Tin Machine, Bowie era a lot, and I'm going to have an industrial 50s. Those are the two things that I'm thinking about right now.
I like that. I think that's a good plan, a good solid retirement plan. You got the lotto. That'll be your retirement.
Scratch offs, industrial music, and scratch off.
Yeah,
there's nothing dumber than scratch offs. I mean, I feel like, but I could fall for it. I know that I can. But, I think that if you're doing it, you got to watch it. You got to watch it a little bit.
You got to be careful. Before I segue in, I don't think you can see it. You can't. I'm not going to mess with my camera because that'll be a disaster. But I got a Sun Beta lead back here that used to belong to Paul Barker from Ministry. So you can come over here and we'll make the industrial music. We can even do it before you're 50 if you want. We'll figure it out.
I gotta wait till I'm 50. It's gonna be an industrial 50s. Like it's all black. I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna do it right. You know, I got 8 years to set up.
You're gonna have industrial.
I always kind of wish
leather vest with like hooks on it and stuff. Are you gonna go all the way?
I don't know. I mean, I always I feel like I feel like in the 90s, you know, I was a grunge dude, and then I was like kind of indie rock guy. Even though I always kind of liked Nine Inch Nails, I never got in. You know, I had Downward Spiral, and I had Pretty Hate Machine, but I never really got in. And you know, in another lifetime, I could have just veered a little bit, and I think I'd be happy as an industrial guy. You know, but so we'll see what happens in the 50s. But I appreciate your help. Maybe I'll see you in 8 years.
Okay. All right. I'll be there with you. By that time, I'll be in my 40s, so I can have an industrial 40s. You can have an industrial 50s. It's going to work out great, I think.
Yeah, as long as we're industrial, it'll be all right. It's called industrial. That's true. It's industrial.
But that is very, very true. All right. Okay, here we go. Last questions of the podcast. First one. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh man, the TU2.
So many people say the TU2.
Dude, I mean, it was just the most important thing that ever happened. I was in a band for so long and we didn't have tuners on stage. I mean, you know, and then we did. And then it was just like, there it was. And it was just this light, it was unbelievable, that white thing. And I still have the first one and it's 25 years old and it still works. Boss pedals rule. I also, I like the Blues Driver too. Blues Driver riffs.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the TU2, I think we forget that there was a time before the TU2.
Was there a T1? I don't even know.
I don't think so. I think TU2,
been, right?
I think the TU2 was one of the first, if not the first pedal tuner, I believe.
It's the closest thing. I mean, it's the Terminator of pedal situations, right? Because like T2, far better than T1, you know, when we're talking about Terminators, but you know, T1, I'm not taking anything against T1. It's just a lot of people, you don't even need to see T1 to like T2. And I feel like the TU2 is Terminator 2 and T1, I mean, you know, it's just, you don't need it really. You know, even though I like it, you don't need it.
You don't need it. You don't. All right, final question. This is the one that gets a little dicey, but you're no stranger to controversy, so I think you'll be fine with it. So here we go.
Down, sure.
What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Oh, well, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and there's actually a pretty unbelievable pizza scene there.
Really?
Yeah, it's there's a section of Scranton. Well, there's a town called Old Forge, and Old Forge has its own kind of Sicilian style pizza, and it's controversial because a lot of it involves a blend of mozzarella and American cheese. That's kind of the Scranton style. And it's kind of like a goopy, but like tangy. I really like a tangy sauce with that mozzarella American blend. And there's that's one style, and it's just called Old Forge style pizza, and it's amazing. It's really light. The crust is airy, and it's square, and we call it a tray. So you'd order a tray of red. And then if you go anywhere else, they're like, we don't sell trays here, bud. What are you talking about? But that's how you order pizza in Scranton. But then there's also a subset. There's just so many different kinds of styles of pizza. A lot of Italians in Scranton. And if I had to do a round, it would be like the swirl, you know, where you have like that swirl that goes all the way around.
Like a swirl of sauce?
What's that?
Like a swirl of sauce you're talking about?
Yeah, like it's like it starts in the middle and then it goes around. And, you know, those are my two favorite styles of pizza.
You've just educated me about a style of pizza I didn't know existed. And I didn't know that was possible anymore.
Yeah. Look into it. It's, you know, pizza capital of the world, you know, but, you know, like
there's lots of those.
Yeah. Akron, Ohio is the hot dog capital of the world. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
Athens, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played a gig there once, and it was just like the hot dog capital. You could just pick something, like if you're a town, you know what I mean? Like balloon capital of the world, you know?
Right.
Oregon City, balloon capital.
Yeah. What is Oregon City? What are we? I don't know. I don't know
You
what
probably
we
have
are.
something.
We're
Yeah.
like the first city on west of the Mississippi or something like that. I don't remember. Something like
Okay.
that. Who knows? I don't know. We got some good restaurants, so if you come through, we'll do the thing. You know, we'll
Love
have
the
fun.
Pacific Northwest, man. It's one of the most beautiful places on the planet. So yeah, I'll be back. Pat Finnerty and the full band. Hopefully we'll do a tour in the next year or so, and get out there.
Absolutely. Well, stay in touch. We'll see what kind of craziness we can get up to.
Awesome, man.
Right on. So for Pat, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really, really do. Thank you again to Pat for hanging out and, just being himself. I, again, love what he does, and I'm really stoked that he took the time to come on this show. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you so much. And if you want to hear more of this conversation, or you just really don't like the new ad format, you can go to patreon.com/tonemob, and for $3 a month, you get access to the ad-free stream. The feed, that's the right word, feed. There will be no ads on that. You can just go there. It's $3 a month. It helps support the show, and you don't have to be bothered by things you don't want to be bothered by. That said, if you need more, if you need additional content, $5 a month will get you access not only to the ad-free stream, but also to the bonus episodes. And there is a bonus episode with Pat, and it is quite lovely, if I do say so myself. There are hundreds of hours of bonus content back there. So if you love this show and you want to keep it going, that is a great way to do so. And I super appreciate everybody that does that. It really, really means a lot. And if you can't do that, I get it. Things are crazy right now. But if you could share this with somebody, share this with a friend, share this with somebody that you think might enjoy it, that would help out immensely. As you know, my favorite thing that I do is this podcast, and I want to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can, and I can't do it without you. So thank you to everybody. I'm going to zip out of here. I will talk to you on the internet very soon. I got some big stuff I want to talk about, but I can't talk about yet. I am so excited, though. It'll come very, very soon. All right. Talk to you all. Bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
Hey, this is Aaron from No Simple Road. I'm inviting you to come hang out with Apple, Mel, and I as we talk with the musicians, artists, chefs, authors, and beyond from the world that turns us on. We're reaching into the improvisational music scene, the psychedelic culture, the festival world, and getting to know what makes the people tick that create those scenes. Come join us on the long, strange trip over at No Simple Road.
Hey, what's up? My name's Lurk, and I'm the host of Lambgoat's Van Flip podcast. Every week, I have in-depth conversations with bands from all over the scene, big and small. We also like to keep our finger on the pulse and showcase up-and-coming bands on the show as well. So come check out Lambgoat's Van Flip podcast.